I was a kindergarten teacher at Burgundy Farm School in 1951, and I taught at Burgundy in one capacity or another for about 14 years after I entered in the 50s, and through a parent at Burgundy who was associated with the African American Institute. I left Burgundy and went to teach in Nigeria, West Africa, for 2 years. And then I came back to Burgundy about 1963, and I only stayed for 2 years and then went to teach in the public schools. One of my sons did attend Burgundy in the 5th and 6th grade. He had Rachel Hall as a teacher in the 5th grade, and he had John Trott as a teacher in the 6th grade. I was the first African American teacher.
Tell me about what that time was like, both in the community and here at Burgundy.
During that period, when I came into Burgundy in the 50s, actually, integrated schools were really against the law. There was a law that schools were to be segregated, and it wasn't until the 60s that the schools became integrated. Burgundy had to actually use its muscle and its board members to allow me to teach here at Burgundy. There was a special, I don't know whether you call it dispensation, or there were some papers that were drawn up between the state of Virginia and Burgundy Farm to allow me to teach. I think that some of the founders, Mrs. Stone, Mrs. Crupshaw, a few of those people interceded. It was actually board members that made it happen that I could teach here in the 50s. There were several Quakers on the board, on the founders board, and they believed in diversity and in having their children exposed to people of all races. So they were really adamant about having me come to teach and having their children experience an African American teacher. There were a few I guess, a few things that happened in the community when we would take the children on field trips, etc., that people were surprised to see an African American teacher with with a large group of white children, taking them into the Smithsonian and that kind of thing. So comments were made or that kind of thing, but we prevailed. We just kept going and then introduced more African American teachers, and Jody Stewart, I think her name was, who was the second teacher that came in, and then they started accepting African American students at Burgundy.
Wow, those must have been heady times.
Yes, they were. I would transport carpool style many of the students who were coming in from D.C., and many of those students were African American. And then we had a few students from Alexandria who were African American. One, Tony Lewis, who later became a Episcopalian scholar and was brilliant. Even I remember how brilliant he was.